Hello everyone, I have a little piece of show and tell for you today. It is the wee hours of the morning and I'm about ready to go to bed. This is take 2 of the video, by the way. The first take ran out of storage space on the device itself. I'm recording this from a cell phone. Now, I haven't worn this in definitely 13 years. It's definitely been 13 years since I wore this at last. You know, when you get up over 10 years, you can round to the nearest year. Just saying. So, here are a few pieces of my past. This one here. This one uniform is going to be worth way, way more later on in my lifetime. It's only going up in value. It's never been listed. It's definitely not for sale. It's my memorabilia, my keepsakes. Anyways, this shirt, being 13 years old, it's still almost exactly the same color. I have taken such intricate care of it. I haven't worn it more than an hour and a half total since I retired it and moved on. Many of you youngsters will remember, if you've ever been one, you'll always remember why I always tell everyone, be prepared, never underestimate the impossible. I learned that the hard way with this particular uniform. This uniform was my Boy Scout uniform till the day I retired it. As you may have noticed, there are a few highly unique patches on this uniform. We're gonna break it down. There's one of them, I do not specifically recall what I did to earn it, but it was awarded in church. We'll get to that one later. That is an award that is very rare to receive. And it was in a different church than what I'm in now. Just saying. Completely different religion. No, not satanic. Come on, get over it, folks. I went from Catholic to Mormon. Get over it. Now, I know there's haters out there that are just going to hate. It's what they do. So the most common flag you'll see and the most common patch on these uniforms is the American flag. And obviously, this is the patch for the Pacific Harbors Council in southwestern Washington. I was in Troop 505, and this is obviously almost completely untouched since the last meeting I wore it to, other than an hour and a half of wearing it over the course of 13 years. I have not been a youth medium in shirt size since elementary school. That right there was our patch. Now, I know for a fact this is an authentic piece because I bought it, I wore it, I know where it came from. Most pawn shops would pay like $2 or $3 for this. I would never accept that ever in my life. Not even with a gun to my head. They could blow my brains out before they would coax me into taking just $2 or $3 for this. My fireman's chip. Okay, this fireman's chip was earned through blood, sweat, and tears. Literally. It was a cold day. It was raining. I had to start a fire. I started the fire and earned my fireman's chit. And the same day, I also earned my totem chip. Now I've got my BSA patch on here. I've never even unvelcroed it since the day I stuck it on, except to put it through the wash. Since the first day I put this on, this patch has always stayed here. Now, we're starting to get into more rare and, more and more rare patches here. These two patches that you're about to see are very rare. This patch here, this is somewhat rare. That patch right there signifies I could tie you up with more knots than you would ever figure out. I've learned most knots aside from the monkey's thumb or the monkey's fist or whatever they call it. I didn't care to learn that one. I had to pass the test with like a 95% to get that. But this particular patch I'm about to show you is the rarest patch for a Boy Scout to earn you will ever see on video. There are some even more rare than this, and if you have one, comment below. If you have one of these patch type, let me know. If you've got multiple of them, let me know. Because you will have earned my respect fully. I earned this Arrow of Light award for a lot of merit. I don't remember all of the specifics. We'll just put it this way. There were hundreds of hours spent working at the church food bank. There were hundreds of hours working on planting things at the church that was being put in and maintaining the grounds of the church. There were hundreds upon hundreds of hours of construction put into earning that patch. I still remember the picture of when that was taken when I stood there awaiting my patch. My hand outreached because I was losing my patience. We'll just say I kind of had a bit of a beef between the priest and myself, and we will leave it at that. There's a reason I left the Catholic Church. My parents never knew. And my dad, if he's watching this video, will find out from watching the video that I had a lot more reason than my dad to not trust the priest. And there's a reason my family never knew about it. Not even my sister. Now, there's a couple more things I want to tell you about this particular uniform. This uniform, I'm not even sure I could button it, putting it on me. If I could figure this thing out, it would be great. Yeah, I can barely get it over my shoulders. I don't even think I could snap one button. Wow. I could actually, if I wanted to, button every single button. And it's not because I don't eat. Now, the problem with this shirt, if I were to wear it, it would be like a belly shirt on me. I've gone straight up, like a beanpole, not out. But there's something important that you all need to know about this shirt. I earned this with literally more blood, sweat, and tears than a teenager could even begin to fathom. Today's kids, more of them earn patches with half the effort any of us did back in the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s, and even those before us. Look, all of the skills of which went into earning every patch on this shirt, and any Boy Scout knows I have a hell of a lot more. My red vest has so many patches and so many merit badges on it. The portion that goes around that's on the back of the vest, it wrapped around all the way. It literally wrapped around all the way to my sides to where you could see it standing in front of me. I had earned that many merit badges and awards and achievements, and there was literally barely space for another patch. And I didn't rush through the rankings either. I took my time. I learned everything I could. Every time I went up a rank, for me, I had a rule of thumb. I had to have at least 2 more of every achievement, of every, I think it's a merit badge or something. It's little tiny rockers like this. I can't remember the name offhand. But every one of those achievements were from doing what that particular patch was, obviously. But I had to earn at least 2 more of each and every one of those before I was willing to go up another level. Earning all of those year by year was no easy feat. I held myself, and I still hold myself, to a standard so high that today's children could not compete with me, ever. They just can't. They can't compete with my workmanship, my craftsmanship, unless I'm learning a new one. It's about the only time they stand a chance of competing. Because I compete with myself to be better every time. Not as good as last time. I aim to consistently improve across the board. And that is why I have left my own family. Now that I have told you about that, remember this, ladies and gentlemen. No matter what life brings you, there's always more to life. There's always more to experience in life. There's always going to be highs and lows. There's going to be lows when you're putting your loved ones in the ground. There's going to be highs when when a child is born, or when you achieve something you've worked so hard for, or when you have made it to the next level. There's always going to be those highs. There's always going to be lows, like grieving, having to... For me, this is one that hits home. For me, it's literally saving my future by giving up my present and my past at the same time. I can't really go into details just yet. What I can tell you, though, is even if you lose everything, you still have something. You always have something to lose. You have your life, your spirit, your soul. You have your senses you could lose. There's always something more you could lose. You could lose parts of your body, which I have actually lost I lost a part of me physically when I went through jungle rot nearly 2 years ago. I was arrested for a staged crime comprised completely of slander. In that process, to save my entire foot, I had to have an emergency splash and slash style toenail removal, and I chose to have it permanently removed. So not only was I fighting the infection, I was fighting the exposed nerves. And not only that, I still managed to show up to college to attempt to get more knowledge, but it's kind of the clash of the titans there, if you will. Anyways, I still managed to get everything done I needed to. I still managed to shovel snow, literally while fighting for my own life. A battle that was not external. Whilst the infection largely went away in that surgery, I still refused. That whole time, I refused to take antibiotics. And in the midst of all this, I got arrested over a bogus charge with a bunch of bogus stuff associated with it. There was nothing to it. There was no facts. None. Other than it was all lies. Despite what court documents show and reflect, lawyers were playing games with my life. And this is why the criminal justice system has earned my absolute disrespect. I have no respect for the criminal justice system and the way criminals are treated. That is absolutely ridiculous. Abso-freaking-lutely ridiculous. In the past 2 years, I've been arrested, stalked by police, harassed by teenagers, hassled by college students, and not only that, constantly battled to keep my finances stable. There's a lot that's gone on in 2 years, and it's time to put those 2 years behind me. Many of you who have been watching my channels knows where this is going. I won't go any further into details than that. I'm going to leave that stuff where it's at as to what I've said. And just remind you all, even clothes are replaceable. Your life is not. Whilst to me, this is one of my most prized possessions of clothing I have. Yes, I'm a clothes hoard. Yeah, I'm a clothes hoard. I hoard clothing, but I take very good care of it. Very, very good care of it. How many of you could say they have a shirt from literally, that is literally over 15 solid years old? 15 years old. And it looks darn near brand new. Almost perfectly preserved. Without chemicals or anything. Just treating it properly. And you know, folks, there's a lot of things in life that we think is big stuff. And later on we realize it's the small stuff. We thought what was big at the time, we look back on and it was just small stuff. A 98-year-old lady, and I'm going to quote her in exactly how she spoke it. "Young man, you better remember this. Don't sweat the small stuff. Everything that you think is big stuff now, the older you get, the more you're going to realize how little it was." She was right. I misquoted her, though. The more you realize certain things that you think are big things are just little things. Basic human survival. That right there, that's a big skill. We'll leave it at that, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate you watching all the way to the end. And if on your way out, you could give me a thumb. And if you could drop a comment, if you haven't already, certainly appreciate that type of interaction as well. And if you haven't already and you've been watching my videos and you keep coming back, by the way, there's a pretty good chunk of you that are repeat that haven't subscribed yet, so please do subscribe. Please do subscribe. It's worth it. And if you don't want to miss another one of these Chef Matt videos, you gotta ring that bell.